Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all doing well. We have a guest today. I can actually see him lurking in the green room. Not ready for him yet. We'll get a big build up, but he's actually smiling at the moment, which proves that he can hear me, even though I can't hear him. So all should be well with that. So apparently, Nazi salutes are back in fashion. That bodes well for the next 4 years, doesn't it? I was reminded, I don't know if anybody else saw the Elon Musk thing yesterday, but I was reminded of a lyric from the grossly underrated band, the King Blues, who I went to see many, many times. They have a lyric that goes like this. Well, he's looking down, hoping you'll clean up this dirty old town. Finish his battle before it turns rotten. Your granddad didn't vote for fascists. He shot them. Yes, that's what he said. Also, realise I'm not the first to point this out, but what a bitter irony that on Martin Luther King Day, the day the US remembers a man who died in pursuit of unity, they inaugurated a president who will spend the next 4 years in pursuit of division. You can't make this stuff up. Anyway, I refuse to get bogged down and all that. I guess I just won't be watching the news for the next 48 months or thereabouts. We do have a packed show for you this morning, including, as I said, we've got a very special guest who's lurking in the background at the moment. So without all further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. It is Tuesday, the 21st of January. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, we're off to Kyrgyzstan. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say. We're off to Kyrgyzstan in search of a Lonking excavator, which is a slight clue to our guest. We're going behind the scenes with Takeuchi track loaders. We've got a long walk around our Hitachi long-reach excavator, and we've got some proper old-school vintage plant for you to drool over at the very end of the show. And as I say, technology smiling upon us. We do have a special guest as well. Plus, in my morning monologue today, drowning in the pain of others. Who will aid the mental health first aiders? That's what we're going to be talking about. But before we get to all of that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine for you to decipher. Back after this. Yeah, I've done that thing again. I've changed the color of a machine, and I've got to be honest. When I put it up online and I looked at it, I thought, I can't remember what that is. It fooled me. So here's what you've got to identify. I know that's only a bucket. Yes, do not be led by the color. The color is not a clue at all. While you're trying to figure that out, let me take that away very quickly and let me remind you of our question of the day, because, well, it's up and it's... Yeah, our question of the day today is this. Which machine brand from the past would you like to bring back? Now, I'm going to keep this pretty broad. You can choose from brands that are, for one reason or another, have just ceased to exist, went out of business or packed up and went somewhere else. Or you can choose brands that were swallowed up by another manufacturer, which kind of opens the way for, O&K and Latorno and people like that. So if you've got any thoughts on that, there's a bit of me that would like to see smaller excavators come back, just to see a world in which they were proven right. Mini excavators really are everywhere, but I'm going to go. My personal preference would be for Priestman. Love to see Priestman come back for one last hurrah. Our friend Mick has just joined us. Morning all. I'm going to say Halla. Yes, I knew you would. There you are. Chris Ford is in agreement with me. Priestman. Dan Collins going for Ackerman, and Ken Hatcher, not surprisingly, going for Hymac. So good stuff. Sitting here drinking tea with the old boys, Tom Callan and Bob Mason. Good morning to Tom and Bob. Enjoy your tea. Yes, our question of the day, Samsung. Samsung would be a good one to bring back. Let me very quickly, while we've got that, I'm going to take this away. There you are. That is the Mystery Machine. As I say, do not, under any circumstances, be fooled by the colour. The colour is there purely to throw you off the scent. I'd like a make and a model if you would be so kind. Anyway, all that being done, we're off to Kyrgyzstan in a second, and then we've got our guest. So stand by. $864 shows we've done, nearly 5 years, and I don't think we've ever actually visited Kyrgyzstan before, but we're about to. This film is about 2 minutes long, which means that our guest, who is sat in our green room at the moment, has precisely 2 minutes and 4 seconds to gird his loins. I don't actually know what that means, but I'm sure he can do it. Here we go. Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, all the way to Kyrgyzstan to see Lonking excavators. Turns out you don't actually have to go that far because they're here in the UK, and representing them is a guy called Tom Armstrong. Morning, Tom.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You're looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, which is always a good start.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Tom, just very quickly, I mean, I'm fairly sure some people will be familiar with your name. You're not a newcomer to the plant industry in any way, shape or form. Give us a bit of your background.
Yeah, so my background is predominantly been around the sort of plant hire industry. So I started out way back in the sort of late 90s working for Hewden Stewart. I was just a salesman, repping the streets of London, knocking at doors, going on sites and so forth, and just predominantly hiring out the plant. About 6 or 7 years into that career, I moved across to Hewden Hire Centres, was located at the regional office in London, was regional sales manager for London, and I managed around about, I think it was about 10 depots and around about 8 to 10 salespeople. So that carried on for about 5 or 6 years. But around about that time is when sort of Hewden Hire Centres went downhill a little bit and eventually got bought out by Speedy Hire. I can't remember, way back in, I don't know, 2000 and something, 3 or 4. I can't remember now. It's a long time ago. And from there, I went on. That was my first step into the manufacturing side and working with the manufacturers. I joined a company called Takeuchi Manufacturing. They were looking for a national sales manager for the UK, and they were looking to establish and build their their national hirers in the UK. So I joined Takeuchi, working out of Rochdale initially, and then working at the South Depot in Fatcham near Berkshire. And my job was really to develop the direct accounts in London, and also develop national hirers like Morris Leslie, Gap, and so on. And I spent 10 years working with Takeuchi. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic product. It really gave me a feel for what the product was all about, because in the early days of selling Takeuchi into London, and not many people known the brand, and people can't pronounce the name, and all they would say, I want that red and grey machine. And it was a real learning curve. So when I eventually got involved with the Chinese machines, I was able to help build the brand there. So basically from there I sort of moved across to so after about 10 years with Takeuchi, I moved across to Rototilt UK, which was a Swedish tilt rotator company that had just set up in the UK around about 2016 2017, and I helped assist build the tilt rotator market. Firstly, I didn't really know much about tilt rotators, and coming from selling excavators and then selling attachments was a little bit of an eye-opener, but eventually saw a way forward with the tilt rotators. I could see there was definitely a market in the UK, especially the Swedish market was so saturated with tilt rotators, and as most say, you can't get a machine on site in the Nordic countries without a tilt rotator bin on it. So in the early days of building the tilt rotator market in the UK, very slow, very hard, but it's moved on. It's so from there I sort of moved away. I got headhunted by a Chinese company called Sunward Europe, and they wanted me to establish a dealer network in the UK by selling obviously Sunward excavators. The Sunward had been in the UK previously, but to be honest with you, they'd never made any impact whatsoever. So it was my role to really go out there and develop a dealer network that we could sell the machines through, and they could sell on to the end user. I joined around about end of 2019, so it didn't really help when I was sort of went straight into COVID, and that kind of sort of pulled me down a little bit. But by the end of it, I'd sold 200 plus machines. We developed a network of 6 dealers, and from there I just moved away a little while. I took a little break out of the industry. I had a few family matters to resolve, and then I came back working for a Sunward dealer originally for about a year, and then I got headhunted to work with Lonking. But instead of working for them, I decided to go a different route and set up a distributor. So I became the distributor for England and Wales, and my role now is I'm a joint managing director of a company called LK Machinery, and we're basically importing the Lonking range into the UK. Mainly mini excavators from around about 1 ton to 10 ton is our core market, and that's where I am now.
Well, funny enough, you've been recognised. Our friend Mick has just said, "Oi, you old codger, where you been hiding?" And then he says, "Never mind, you just answered it. Not seen you since the 90s." Now, his name on the screen says Mick Saunders. I think he's Mick Wright, actually. I don't know if you remember Mick Wright, but yeah, he certainly recognises you. Just a very, very quick point on that. I mean, you mentioned the fact that you were with Takeuchi. We've got Takeuchi coming up in a bit later in the show. But Lonking is a name, obviously I'm aware of it, but I'm not overly aware of it. Where does Lonking stand in the Chinese hierarchy? I mean, we understand that XCMG is the 3rd biggest equipment manufacturer in the entire world now. But obviously you mentioned Sunward and Sany and everything else. Where does Lonking stack up?
Yeah, so XCMG's dropped one place. They're now the 4th biggest construction machinery company in the world. So it's all part of the yellow construction table. So Lonking is around about currently at 32 in the top 50. So Lonking has been sort of been running since 1993. They've been, as a company, they've been an OEM for many other manufacturers, and also what you find with Chinese premium manufacturers, and obviously the brands that we see today in today's market are all premium branded manufacturers. So they are the top tier of the hierarchy in China. But the nice thing about the Lonking is it's the only it's only privately owned manufacturer in China, so it's not part of any government. It's family owned. But the Lonking has been manufacturing a whole array of different products, but they also manufacturing components as well, axles, gearboxes, for an array of different other manufacturers across the world, including some manufacturers in the UK. Their core market really is compaction rollers, is wheel steers, obviously the mini excavators. There are heavy line excavators, and obviously in the UK, Lonking have been around in the UK, believe it or not, for 15 years. But as a manufacturer of forklifts, so they have got a huge market in the UK for forklifts. Obviously, I don't know much about forklifts, so when I got involved with Lonking, I thought they hadn't been in the UK before, but obviously they've been in the UK for around about 15 years with the Lonking forklift range, which apparently they sell around about 1,000 units a year. So that's really where they are. They're an OEM for other manufacturers with their wheel loaders. They manufacture for I won't say too many names, and they also supply axles to other manufacturers of wheel loaders. So and what you find with Chinese manufacturers, they're all OEMs for each other. But yeah, that's roughly where they are.
So whereabouts are you based in the UK?
Right, so LK Machinery, which was incorporated in July, August last year, we're located in a place called Chesham in Buckinghamshire, very nice part of the world, which is easily located from the A41 or across the M25 and M1 sort of corridors, but really strategically placed for the southeast.
Awesome. Now, just to absolutely clarify, we've just seen a pretty big Lonking excavator there. What is the range that you're offering now? I mean, you said minis up to 10 ton, but you go slightly beyond that, don't you?
Yes, so obviously with the UK market for Lonking, Lonking is predominantly mini excavators, albeit they have a heavy line. Their core market for the UK and our core market for the UK is mini excavators from micro 1 ton up to 9 tons. So that's going to be our core market. Obviously, we do have a heavy line. We've got a 14 ton, 22 ton, and a 33 ton, but we're not looking to bring in any bigger than 33. But in all fairness, our core market is really the under 10 ton markets. That's where that's my background in the sort of mini excavator side of the market, and that's the area that I really want to grow. We've got to remember we're LK Machinery is a distributor for Lonking. Lonking is not here in the UK. They have got a facility in Poland, but that's purely for parts at the moment.
I'm going to see this one from Dan Cullen. He says, have you sold mini machines in the UK? I mean, I guess it's early doors, but have you sold many in the UK?
No, is the honest answer. And the reason for that is myself and my partner went across to Shanghai in September to really get a look at the excavators. I really wanted to sort of put our mark on the excavators. So what I mean by that is I wanted to make sure that they really sort of were a high spec for the UK market, because majority of people that buy the machines under 10 ton are sort of owner operators, and the owner operator wants to get into something that feels a bit luxurious. But we've placed an order back in September, because obviously I made a few changes to those machines. They got delayed slightly. We've got 40 machines arriving on the around about the second week of February for the UK market. So yeah, at the moment sold none, but had a lot of inquiries. Taken a few reserved orders, and hopefully by the time the machines come, I can get some into the UK market and get them out there.
Awesome stuff. Well, you've kind of answered my other question, really. Obviously, we are in the midst of an anti-dumping investigation involving Chinese excavator manufacturers. But I guess this doesn't really apply to you, but partly because you haven't brought any machines in, but also because you're kind of below the threshold as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the dumping of the machines in the UK, and to be honest with you, there are certain manufacturers that are dumping the machines, more so on heavy line, and that's the sort of area that everybody sort of wants to put these tariffs on, is the heavy line machines. For us, see, the difference is Lonking's not located in the UK, so obviously other Chinese manufacturers are already here. They're employing people in the UK. They've got a dealer network in the UK, and obviously if they're looking to grow that heavy line market, so they're looking for market share and growth. Whereas we're not looking at that. We're a very quiet company, not looking to make too many waves. We're just looking to take pigeon steps, and predominantly our market is really under 10 ton. If we get the opportunity to grow the market a little bit, we will go up to a 14-ton machine. But we're not really looking to push big machines. Obviously, if there's an inquiry, we'll take it and we'll facilitate it. But we're not looking to dump any machines, any heavy line machines in the UK in volume.
Good to hear, and also refreshing to hear the fact that it's Lonking itself is not government owned, because I think that's one of the causes for concerns here in the UK. Now, you have a secret, and I can tell you it's a perfect answer to this. Dan Cullen says, "Can you do an open day for operators?" I think you can go one better than that, can't you? What are you doing around about June time? Are you not going to an exhibition?
Who, me?
Yes.
June time? No, because that exhibition's been moved from June to September.
Yeah, I'll keep that in again. Are you doing something in September? And now
we are indeed. Yeah. So basically, Lonking is exhibiting for the first time in the UK at Plant Works. Obviously, they're going to bring in a range, because obviously Lonking are well known for their wheel loaders. They've got the biggest market in China on wheel loaders. They've got the highest volume percentage, and they've got the biggest market in Brazil in wheel loaders. They sell around about 2,000 wheel loads a year in Brazil. So obviously they want to bring their wheel loaders into the UK. Obviously, we're going to have an array of different excavators. We'll have one or two heavy line, but we're only going to probably go up to maybe 15, 22 ton tops. But the majority of the machines you're going to see are going to be micro to obviously the 2.6 ton, and we've got the new 6 ton which we're launching in April, which is the 60U, and we've got the 9 ton which we're launching again around about May, June time. So got lots of new machines coming in. Also, the good thing about Lonking is they manufacture really nice skid steer and track loaders, and obviously we're looking to launch those at Plant Works. So lots of things going on around Plant Works for Lonking. It's the first time for them exhibiting in the UK. And, I'm looking really forward to it. And, I just need to book a hotel now. It's in Newark. It's moved from the Peterborough Showground to Newark, a little bit further away from me now.
It has, yeah. Well, just so you know, there's a guy watching this show called, well, it's two actually, Jim Turner and Chris Ford, who both live very, very close by to where you're going. So if you really find yourself stuck, give them a call, and I'm sure they can put you up in the shed or something.
I think I spoke to Jim Turner at Hillhead. We had a long conversation about it. I think at the time he wanted to buy a Sunward. So we had a long conversation about his business and so forth.
Awesome stuff. Your friend Mick has just said, if I remember rightly, they were formed around about in the 90s. Yes, we already know that. I was told about them around 2010, heard some good reports about them. Good news. One final question. Oh, no, go on, carry on. So
go on. Carry on.
No, go on. You finish your point.
No. I was just saying, what we've say with the machines we're bringing here is, let's say with the cabs, we're bringing high spec. We're bringing them in with 7 hydraulic lines. We're bringing them in with dual proportional joysticks, and we're bringing them in with a nice premium cloth operator's seat. And And the reason for that is that, a lot of the machines that you see now, especially the 2.6 ton, have got that hard plastic seat which burns your legs in the summer. So we're just putting lots of quality into the machine before we bring them over, and we're making sure that the machine's of a high spec. So if anybody wants to run attachment to tilt rotator, the machine's all geared up to do that, either on the dual proportional joysticks or whatever.
Awesome stuff. I have one final question for you. Just to let you know, Chris Falder says, if you're stuck for a hotel, there's room for a tent at the ranch.
Oh, wonderful.
Bear that in mind. One final question, Tom. Where can people find you? Where can they find out more about LK Machinery?
Okay, so LK Machinery, as we know, is a distributor for Lonking, and we're the official sole distributor for England and Wales. Lonking will be spreading out into Scotland, into Ireland. Obviously, that's got nothing to do with me. That's with them. We've also got 4 or 5 dealers that we've appointed now. People can find me on Facebook. I spend my life on there by the looks of it. So my wife tells me, and I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can get me on LinkedIn. We've got a website. If you look at my LinkedIn page, I've got loads of information about the Lonkings and so forth, about the specification. I'm always happy to take questions from people. Anybody wants to find out about the machines. Obviously, we've got the machines landing second week of February. We're going to have an open day in March. Or would I say an open day? We're having a dig weekender, so I'm going to have lots of Lonkings all ready to go, so the customers can come along, jump in the machines, get a feel for them. I always like to hear, constructive criticism or negative or positive. I always like to have lots of feedback about the machines, because the only way we can improve something is if we hear it from you guys.
Which is perfect key into Jim Turner, who does remember having the crack with you at Hillhead. I've had half an eye on these Lonkings since they came along. I'll definitely be giving them a once over at Plantworks. Well, you've just made an appointment there, Jim.
Well, thank you very much, Jim.
And Mick says, just out of interest, what steel are they using with the cabs? As I've looked at a lot of the Schenck cabs the last 15 years, I don't suppose you've got that information to hand, have you?
I don't have that information at hand. What I can say is, part of the reason for me going to the factory in Shanghai in September, it was a long flight. Don't like long flights, to be honest with you, but I needed to do it. We went through the whole manufacturing side of everything. The quality, what I really liked about the machines is that they're powder coated, painted. The quality of the steel, I believe, I don't know a lot about steel, but what I saw was quality. The build was quality. I went through the machines with a fine tooth comb. I made loads of changes because I knew the UK customer is high demand, and I wanted to make sure that I had a machine that met their specification and satisfaction. But as far as I know, the machines are high quality, well built, and robust. And obviously, with any sort of Chinese machine, premium Chinese machine, they're always using critical premium Japanese components like KB, Nachi, and obviously Yamaha Kubota engines.
Awesome stuff. Tom, I wish you every success with LK Machinery and with Lonking. Look forward to seeing you at Plantworks, if not before. If you've got an open day, let us know, because I'd love to come along with a video camera under my arm. Just finally, before I let you go, Dan Cullen just said, I think I met Tom at Hillhead 22, or was it Plantworks? Probably one of the other. He probably asked for a hat. He does that a lot.
I've given out so many hats down. It's amazing. I love these shows because you meet people that you don't normally meet, and you can have a real good conversation about the machines and learn about other people's background and experience and life within the plant hire industry or the construction industry or around excavators. So I love shows where I can sort of just get to know people.
Awesome stuff. Tom, I'm going to let you go, let you get back to the day job, because I'm sure you've got a lot to be getting on with. Really appreciate you joining us today.
You're welcome.
Good luck with Lonking and LK Machinery, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, and have a great day, and all the best to you. Thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Right. Yes, let's crack on, because we're already half an hour into the show, and I've still got a bunch to get through. So here's this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, he seems like a thoroughly good egg, does Tom Armstrong. Yeah, I wish him every success. Now, back to Mystery Machine. There is the Mystery Machine. That's how it stands at the moment. We have had some guesses. I've just shown you a bit more machine. Let's have a look, see if I can find any of those guesses. Dan Cullen, I think, he went for an XCMG XE310. It's not an XCMG XE150U either. It's not a JCB 3CX from Chris Ford. Do we have any more? Do we have any more guesses on that? Can't see it. No, can't see any more. So keep the guesses coming in. That's what you're working towards. If you've got any idea on what that might be, please let us know. I do need to hide that because I don't want to take that away. We're back immediately after. No, I'm not going to do that. We're going behind the scenes with Takeuchi in just a second.
Here in Moore, South Carolina, we are proud of our brand. Because we are proud, we defend it. Our defense starts with our mentality, which is when we walk through these doors each morning, it is with the intention of making our best better for our customers. For this reason, I could not be happier or more proud to be part of the Takeuchi team.
I've been at Takeuchi for 2 years. It has changed tremendously. I first came in the door, we was sweeping. What makes me proud to work here is I feel value. Value is a big thing for me. And just coming to work every day, seeing my team members chip in, teamwork, and do what we got to do to make these units.
I've been working with Takeuchi around like a year already. And actually, one of the things that make me proud to be working with these guys is the mentality and communication. I feel like they're part of my family. They're friends, and we all make a pretty good team together. Yeah, we're like a family, a work family, and everybody is doing an awesome job.
And what makes me more proud of being here is just the aspect of us being a team and working together and striving to become good employees, not as well good employees, but move ourselves up to management.
I've been with Takeuchi for 1.5 years. I started as an employee in the warehouse, and now I am in the Department of Procurement. Takeuchi fosters an environment where hard work and dedication is truly cherished and valued.
I've been at the Moore plant for right at 3 years, and when I got here, there was nothing here. The growth on the floor is that we've got conveyors. What makes me the most proud for working for Takeuchi is learning different stuff, and the management appreciates us, and everybody works together.
We're still excited that this facility in Moore, South Carolina is our first manufacturing facility outside of Japan. The crew and team here have done a tremendous job in increasing our production and making changes that make us much more efficient and are able to deliver track loaders to the customers more rapidly than ever before. The production here has also allowed us to increase our capacity worldwide, and we're looking forward to the changes that come in the future.
Yep, looks quite the facility. Had a message in from Jim Turner, says, fair play, Tom. Tom is still in the green room, actually. I can see him lurking there. Mystery Machine, but let's have a look. This is what we've got, and we've got guesses that range from Chris Ford, who says, Komatsu PW170-11. No, it's not a Devellon DX170W either. It's not a WX155E SR. It's not. No, it's none of those things. It's not a WX188 either. Apart from JCB, what have we got in this country to be on par? You've got to take your hat off to them. You have indeed. You have indeed. Let me show you a bit more of the Mystery Machine. But as I say, I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. Do not be fooled by the colour. The colour is there purely to throw you off the scent. It is a red herring, or in this case, a turquoise herring. You kind of know what I'm doing. Yes, we've got some Hitachi. Just a second. Stick around. Just to let you know, on the Mystery Machine, we've had a guest. Well, we had a couple actually over on Instagram. We've had one from W Hoke 84 who says Hitachi. Garvin at Mostly Diggers has said Hitachi HW165. It's not. But you're in the ballpark. Let me just say that. Let me show you a bit more. Yes, it has more than one wheel. Garvin has just put ZW165. It's still not a 165, but you're in the right ballpark. Keep the guesses coming in. Speaking of Hitachi, I promise you some Hitachi. Looks like this.
Hello, I'm Akash, and I wanted to tell you about the new Hitachi Super Long Front Excavator, designed for slow finishing, loading, and dredging. Here are 5 facts about this impressive machine. It reaches further than a standard excavator. The length of the boom and arm are perfectly matched and balanced with the base machine. The boom and arm design combines strength and flexibility. It works with speed and precision, thanks to the same Hitachi Trias 3 hydraulic system as standard -7 models. It also shares the same comfortable cab as -7 excavators with superb visibility. It is so versatile. It can be used with a variety of buckets and attachments and is easy to transport from one job site to another. And lastly, it is designed using more than 20 years of Hitachi engineering experience. Want to find out more? Watch the Walk Around movie as we explain more about its features and benefits.
We have a winner. We have a winner on our Mystery Machine. I'll show it to you again. Lots of people hitting the post. Let's have a look. Chris Ford says John Deere 190W. It's not. He got ever so close with the ZX 135W. Dan Cullen went for the ZX 360W. It's not one of those. It's not the 220W. It's not the 145W. It is. It is not the 165. It's not the. Well, it is, but the first person with the correct guess was this guy, Dan Cullen again. It is, in fact, an Hitachi ZX 130W. And believe it or not, he's even got the right year. He's even got the right year. There you are. That's the machine. As I say, I changed the color, but that's what it should look like. That is the ZX 130W. Dan Cullen goes even further into the lead. Dan, you and I are going to have to meet up because I've already got 2 months worth of prizes for you. Looks like you're heading for a third month. Congratulations, Dan. We're going to be right back. I tell you what. If you've got any coffee or tea with you, pour yourself one, would you? Because in a moment, I've got 3 minutes of vintage plant porn for you. Yes, get ready.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, we've got 3 minutes and 8 seconds of vintage plant. Now, in absolute truth, I'm fairly sure this was shot in Europe. In fact, it may well have been shot in Switzerland, which will become clear when you see some of the machines. Despite that, I went to look for a suitable soundtrack, and I decided what goes best with vintage Swedish plant? Muddy Waters. Here you go.
Late over in the evening, I feel like blowing my horn. When I woke up this morning, all I had was gone. I'm getting late over in the evening, man. Now I feel like blowing my horn. Well, now woke up this morning, all I had was gone. Well, books went to the ocean running into the sea. But don't find my baby, somebody gone sure bury me. Books went to the ocean, man, that ocean went to the sea. Well, now, I don't find my baby, child. Somebody sure gonna bury me. Been a long time, boy. Hours, gonna seem like days. Seems like my baby will stop her whole evil way. But it seems like hours, and hours seems like days. Well, now, seems like my baby child, well, child will stop a low down way.
How good was that? I mean, the film was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, but that music kind of gets you in the feels, doesn't it? Awesome stuff. All my own work. Well, not the filming, that was somebody else, but I did the music. And there's Mick saying, forget the rest of the show, just keep playing the music. Could quite happily do that. Everard have some kit on YouTube. Seems they love vintage too. Yeah, I'm sure they do. I went to Eberhard 30 years ago, and they had one of the best model displays I've ever seen. Absolutely awesome. And there's Jim Turner, bloody brilliant film and tune. Can't go wrong with a bit of Muddy Waters, I always say. Anyway, that's about it for the main part of today's show. We are at 45 minutes now. I apologise for that. Well, I'm not apologising at all. That's an absolute lie. I thought Tom Armstrong was bloody good value, actually, so I'm not going to apologise any further. But I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like into my morning monologue, which is all about mental health. If you can't stick around for that, then do please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues, and I hope to see you again very, very soon indeed. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I will be back immediately after this. I'll get to that in just a second. Somebody called Nalindus over on Instagram has just asked me to say the word Sigma. You ready? Sigma. I don't know what the purpose of that is. I hope you enjoyed it. There you are. You ever get the chance to see Muddy's son? Jesus, he sounds so much like him. I didn't even know he had a son. No need. What a great show. Thank you very much indeed for that. Chris Ford says, pity the GDSF has finished. Welland is growing, and so is Cranford. One day, hopefully, there'll be a gathering just for vintage plant. I tell you what, if that is a Swiss thing, I'd happily hop on a plane and go and pay that a visit. Anywho, we've done all of that. I've said Sigma for reasons I don't fully understand. So it is time for today's morning monologue. So get ready. Human beings have a limited capacity for trauma. When that limit is exceeded, it can result in stress, burnout, depression, and in extreme cases, PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. We're all different, of course, and our individual resistance to trauma will vary from person to person. But let's assume we each have a trauma reservoir within us, and that reservoir is designed to hold all an individual's stresses of everyday life. It can safely contain work stresses, marital and relationship issues, financial worries together with concerns over children, climate change, war, famine, the performance of their favourite football team, and a multitude of other causes as well. Some larger issues might cause a breach in that reservoir. The loss of a loved one, for example, but your one-person trauma reservoir is resilient and eventually it will restore its equilibrium to contain that additional trauma. But what happens when your personal trauma reservoir is required to contain not just your personal and mental issues, but those of dozens of others as well? Well, apparently, we could soon find out. You see, we find ourselves in the midst of a mental health crisis in the demolition and construction sector. Our workers are stressed beyond breaking point. We're losing millions of man-hours each year to mental health issues, and the industry's suicide rate is currently running at almost 4 times the national average. And the industry's solution? Is it to change working practices to alleviate some of that stress? Is it to do away with arbitrary completion dates that everyone is racing to meet? Is it working to remove the financial concerns from the shoulders of its workforce? No. It's doing precisely none of those things. And instead, it's come up with a plan that, if you say it out loud, sounds like something from a comedy script. Rather than addressing the cause of all this stress and anguish or employing genuine mental health professionals, the powers that be now expect workers to entrust their mental well-being to a collection of digger drivers that have received a couple of days mental health awareness training. Now, mental health first aid training is fine. I know a couple of people that have been through the training and they claim they're now better equipped to recognise and identify signs of common mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, psychosis. In truth, the 2 people I know that have been through the mental health first aider training were empaths anyway. My guess is they probably could have spotted such problems even before their formal training, but never mind. They also learned crisis intervention techniques, and they've learned how to provide ongoing support. They were also taught about mental health stigma and how to create a supportive environment. I have no doubt they will do both of those things admirably. But here, belatedly, is my point. Both the people I know already work within or alongside the demolition and construction industry, so they too suffer from the rigours and stresses that are part and parcel of the sector. However, they are now being expected to juggle not just their mental well-being, but that of several other people as well. One of my friends, who's a mental health first aider, has, in the space of a few short months, had to guide 2 individuals through messy divorces, another through a relationship breakdown, and another through severe financial hardship. He dealt with them all admirably, I'm sure. In each instance, I'm sure he put the individuals back on the straight and narrow and lessened their mental health problems. But what about his mental health? How much of this passive stress does he take home with him at the end of the working day? When he's trying to go to sleep at night, is he still playing those scenarios over? When he's trying to go to sleep at night, is he still playing those scenarios over in his head? When he wakes up in the morning, does he think about morning coffee, the journey to site, or the working day ahead? Or is he plagued by the desperate pleas of one or more of his work colleagues? Surely there will be residue. Surely over time, even the strongest and most resilient person will be ground down by the stresses of others. Will they then succumb to? And what if they do? Who will be there to support them in their hour of need? Will the industry start a mental health first aider course aimed specifically at mental health first aiders? Here's the bitterest of bitter ironies. The demolition and construction industry clearly recognises that it has a mental health issue. Why else would it have mental health first aiders? But rather than seeking outside and professional help to address the issue, it's heaped an even greater burden onto the shoulders of some of the very people that are themselves struggling to hit deadlines, struggling to make ends meet, struggling with work-life imbalance, struggling with job security. Only in the demolition and construction industry could we look at the mental health trauma of the many and think we might address it by heaping it all onto the few. there you are. That's my thought for the day on all things mental health. Has anyone encountered a mental health first aider? And how are they doing? I don't, that's a thing we're supposed to say to each other in this industry. How are you doing? And then when people say, I'm fine, you ask them again. No, really, how are you doing? Is anybody saying that to the mental health first aiders? Are we in any way concerned for their mental well-being? Dan Cullen says, yeah, must be hard for these people that help others. They don't get the support in return. And I know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I consider myself to be a bit of an emotional robot. I am a rock, I am an island. Thank you very much indeed for Paul Simon for writing that. However, I made it through the loss of both my parents. I wouldn't say I was unscathed, but outwardly I was absolutely fine. But my wife is currently going through issues with both of her parents. One's got MS, the other's on dialysis. He's in the hospital at the moment and is not doing particularly well. And I feel that for her, possibly because I've been down that line myself in the not too distant past. But I get like passive anxiety on her behalf. If you've had 2 days, 3 days, 5 days mental health first aid training, is anybody saying at the end of it, thank you for doing this, you've got your certificate, you might need a bit of counselling yourself at some point down the line? Is anybody saying that? Not that I'm aware of. You can't presume everyone is suffering from stress or mental problems. There's plenty of us that are happy in the right job and carefree enough to be truly enjoying ourselves. Yeah, absolutely. And long may it continue. Long may it continue. All I would say is, if there are, unquestionably, you've only got to look at the suicide rate within the industry, the number of, literally the millions of hours that we're losing to stress and anxiety and mental health issues. There is an issue out there among many, many people. And isn't it typical of the industry that rather than saying, okay, we'll either change our working practices to help the working men and women who are struggling with mental health issues, or, if we can't do that and, we are set in our ways as an industry, what we'll do, we'll put in place a bunch of professionals who will come in and offer guidance and support and advice. No. What they've done, they've taken existing members of staff, given them some fairly scant training and said, over to you, fellas. Yeah, go look after the workforce. Keep doing your job as well, and don't let it grind you down, because we don't want you to lose any time off sick with stress or anxiety. Dan Cullen says, I encounter 2 first aiders regularly. Good to hear. Are they good? I'd like to hear about that. Completely agree with you. Bit like a floor when overloaded. The idea is paved with good intentions, but how can somebody already take in a stressful job then take on something that takes years to understand? Yeah. And listen, I'm a pretty good listener. I am. Despite the fact that I love the sound of my own voice, you'd never have guessed. I am a pretty good listener. I am a pretty good shoulder to cry on, despite the fact that I am cursed with a waxy pea-sized heart and I'm an emotional robot. But I am a pretty good listener. But I would imagine that after enough time has elapsed, sooner or later, it would start to get to even me. You rather than going to bed worrying about, paying your mortgage or paying your rent, you're worried about that, but you're also worried about how Bob down the road is going to pay his rent or his mortgage, or the fact that he's going through some sort of emotional breakup with a wife, or he's been working away for 6 months and he's come home to find his wife in bed with his best mate and stuff like that. I see it as kind of, imagine the effect of the sea on a cliff face. One wave is not going to do any harm to, unless it's an exceptional wave, it's not going to do any harm to that cliff face. But constant beating, and constant beating, surely, some will succumb. There will be some sort of collapse. And we've, as an industry, we've chosen to do that. We've actually made a conscious decision that in order to address the mental health issues of the many, we will basically pass on the responsibility for those mental health issues to the few. I'd love to meet somebody that thought that was a good idea. Really would. Yeah, these guys are top notch, and they've helped a few people. Fantastic, good to hear. Listen, let me just be absolutely clear, because we are very quickly approaching the hour mark here. I am not decrying the mental health first aiders, bearing in mind a lot of them have had to give up their own personal time to go and sit the course and sit the training course and the test at the end of it and everything else. So they've done that of their own volition. They've gone away. They've done that for the greater good. I tip my hat to them, and I wish them every success. And I sincerely hope that everything that I predicted in that monologue does not come true. I hope that they don't take their work home with them. I hope that when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock rolls around, they jump in their car and switch the whole lot off. I hope that. I don't necessarily believe that. Mick, getting all highbrows, says, Freud or Jung said the mind is open too much, but how much can the mind take? Yeah. This is not about me. I realise it looks like it's about me, but this show is not about me. When I had my biggest mental health wobble, my dad had been taken very seriously ill. I mean, in absolute truth, with the benefit of hindsight, I can now see that was the start of him basically dying. It took a good couple of years, but that was the beginning. So I got an urgent call. Your dad's been rushed into hospital. Go see him. And the last time I'd seen my dad was 5'7" and about 9.5 stone his entire life. Really wiry little fella, but looked. You know, one of those people. You know, like a Barry McGuigan type. He's little, but a bit tasty. Yeah, I realise that's a bit of a London expression, but my dad was little but looked a bit tasty. Looked like he could look after himself. I got to the hospital and I found a tiny, frail, fragile old man in bed. A couple of weeks after that happened, my best mate was killed in a motorcycle accident. And then Fred went off to university. Individually, my brain, going back to the point that Mick has made there, individually, my brain could have just gone, Dad's ill, okay, deal with it. Fred's gone off to university, okay, deal with it. Best friend's died, okay, deal with it. All at once, my brain just went, do you know what, fuck that. No, fuck that, I'm going for a shutdown. I'm just not doing it. And I think that's where mental pain is very similar to physical pain. There is a degree of physical pain, you know, most notably, I think, with a coma. If your body is subjected to sufficient pain, and I'm thinking here about somebody that's in a big car accident or a burns victim or something like that, and your body just goes, well, no, that's too much. Shut down. Just shut down and go into a coma and let nature take its course. And I realise some car crashes, you're knocked out. You don't choose, or your body doesn't choose to go into a coma. But in some cases it does. It's just like, that's too much for me to deal with. I'm switching off for a bit. And that's how my brain went. And I'm sure that's the same with others. And my concern is that we are building up a problem for the future, because despite the advent of mental health first aiders, you know, they've been around for 2, 3, 4 years now, or possibly even longer. Despite that, the suicide rate is still on the increase. The number of hours that we're losing to mental health issues are still on the increase. They've not made an impact, but what has been the impact upon them? That's my thought for the day, and I'm going to leave you with it. I'm going to go and chop this up into little bits. I've got a Zoom call at 12 o'clock that I need to prep for, so I'm going to call it a day there. Oh, dear. That cup of tea didn't sit well. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. for more of the same. It will be hump day tomorrow. As far as I know, we won't have a guest, but hey, I didn't know we were going to have a guest this time yesterday either. So who the hell knows? Keep watching. I'll keep you posted. Mick says, gents, we are off. I think you've got a couple of newbies coming onto the show. If the silly sods learn how to use their son's laptops. So we're going off to the pub with the hound. Stay safe, fellas. Take life as it comes, and what you don't want, shut it out. I'm doing that. As I say, I'm taking a 4-year sabbatical from the national news, or more specifically, the international news. I believe there's going to be a big deal in future of this mental health. I'm afraid you could be right. And what about Yvonne? I've actually written the email. I haven't sent it yet. The email will be going off. Don't worry about that, Dan. It's in hand, I promise. Everybody, go forth, have a fine and splendid day. look after yourselves physically and mentally. I shall return tomorrow for yet more of the same. Till then, enjoyed your company, enjoyed Tom's company. See you soon. All the best.